Claude is amazingly useful for idea generation, particularly so if you're a content creator. I'm going to give you a number of different techniques that you can use to come up with better ideas for your content based on what you already have. Let's dive in. You can use Claude to analyze your top performing posts and figure out what's working. And you can also use it to analyze posts by other creators you follow. So as an example, I write regularly on LinkedIn. I'm currently using Shield app to see what posts are getting engagement. Now I have another video on the channel where I do a deep dive into how you can get started on LinkedIn, so be sure and check that out. So I went into Shield app and I found 3 posts that got quite a bit of engagement over the past few months. I simply copied the posts to my clipboard and then I gave this prompt to Claude. I asked Claude to analyze these 3 posts and identify what patterns it noticed in terms of structure, tone and engagement triggers. And then of course I pasted in the posts verbatim. Now the caveat here is that I wasn't able to paste in the images. Claude has noted that each one of these posts uses short punchy paragraphs. They follow a clear problem solution format and have a distinctive formula. It's also provided some insights about the tone and referenced some of the engagement triggers and value propositions that I'm using. So if I wanted to employ another writer to edit my content, I could give them this as a type of writing style guide. Or alternatively, if I wanted to learn the style of another creator that I admire, I could take 3 of their posts, use this exact prompt, and then this would give me some insights that I could use to improve the quality of my own content for social media. Now, I've used this on posts that I've written on LinkedIn, but you can use the exact same prompt for posts that you're writing on X and on Substack. And I'm actually using this process to build a Claude project for iterating my Substack daily notes and growing my email list. While we're on the subject of Substack, I've been writing daily notes over there regularly, and it's a good way of growing my list organically. But I can also turn these short form daily notes into long form content, and Claude can help me ideate them. So here's a post I wrote about the dark secrets behind finding success on social media. It only took me 3 minutes to write it, and as you can see, it got a relatively decent bit of engagement. And it's still popping off at the time of recording this video. So I'm going to copy the post to my clipboard, paste it into Claude, and I'm going to use this prompt. Help me expand this short Substack post into a 5-part series that goes deeper into each aspect or topic. These will be long form emails. And I'm going to upload this to Claude, and hopefully it should give me a few ideas for things or topics I could write about for my newsletter. So Claude's come up with 5 different emails that I could potentially write based on some insights from that short form piece of content. One is about why going viral doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any money. And you'll see it's put in a story about somebody called Sarah. Now I wouldn't make things up, I would actually just swap this out for a personal story from my own business. And then it has a couple of bullet points that I could cover or rewrite. And for me, this is a lot faster than opening up a writing app and staring at the flashing cursor and wondering what I'm going to write. And it has 4 more related emails with bullet point outlines. For example, how I could use email to create an empire instead of chasing the algo or the dopamine rush of going viral, and how I should think beyond the algo, and also what I need to know about social media metrics. And finally, an email all about how subscribers can take the next steps. Now, I might not necessarily use all of these emails, but the point is it's saving me a lot of time on ideation. And I know these topics have potential because this original note did get some engagement over on Substack. Even if you're not on Substack, you could take content that's popped off for you, paste it in, and then swap out Substack and use this exact prompt to iterate your short form into long form. Next up, you can use Claude to explore audience pain points. And this can figure out what you want to say in your content. So here's the exact prompt. Take the perspective of a content creator struggling with using AI without losing their voice. What are their top 5 challenges and fears? Now, obviously, you're going to customize this based on your intended audience and the topic that you want to cover. Now, Claude has come up with a number of different topics that I could start to address in my content, in my videos, and in my social media posts. So fear of losing authenticity, struggling with creative control, ethical concerns, and so on. And after talking to many creators about using AI, I can guarantee that these are some of the fears that creators have. And I can take things one step further. So I can ask Claude to take all of these ideas, all of these fears that my audience have, and turn it into a 5-part email series. And again, Claude has come up with 5 different subject lines and also a brief bit of information based on the prompt for what I should include in each one of these newsletters. And again, this is dramatically cutting down the amount of time I'd spend on ideation. Next up is content format transformation. Basically, you get one piece of content, for example a newsletter, and you transform it into something else. For example, a series of posts for LinkedIn. And I've created a dedicated Claude project which does just that. To show you how all of this works, here's an email that I sent to my list a few days ago. It's all about how you can use AI to summarize news stories and you don't necessarily have to wade through lots of doomsday headlines. Anyway, I'm going to copy all of this email and then I'm going to head over to Claude and I'm going to paste it into LinkedIn Post Generator. And it should turn this one email that I wrote for my list into 5 different posts that I can edit and use for LinkedIn. And of course I can follow this exact process for other social media networks. So this was quite a long email, which is why I'm not publishing it on LinkedIn. And it's also not formatted properly for LinkedIn. But Claude has reworked it, so it's reduced the amount of text, it's put in more line breaks, and it's put in some formatting. And it's also given a clear call to action, which could help me connect with people on LinkedIn more easily than by posting up something that's probably a little bit too long. And of course, I have 5 different variations based on training data that I've given Claude. Now, if you're interested in setting up a project like this, I have other videos on the channel where I explain how you can create a Claude project and train it on your data and on your content. So be sure and check that out. Next up is trend jacking. Trend jacking is basically when you take something that's in the news and you tie it to a piece of content. Bitcoin has been in the news a lot lately because it hit an all-time high and now prices have been going back downwards. So I've come up with this trend jacking prompt. Help me connect Bitcoin's price movement. Now you can swap that out for something else that's newsworthy. 2, business leadership lessons. And again, you can swap that out for whatever it is or for whatever topic you're covering. Now Claude has suggested 5 different topics I could potentially cover. One is about strategic patience when things are a little bit uncertain. And I could relate this to 2018 crypto winter. Another topic I could cover could be for leaders who want to prioritize transparency. And I could relate this to the Bitcoin 2024 ETF approval. Now again, these are only ideas and it's up to me to decide if each one of these are relevant. I also like using trend jacking because I can head over to one of my Claude projects. So I'm going to jump back into the LinkedIn project that I showed you a few moments ago. I'm going to paste in the exact same prompt. And now this particular Claude project is going to come up with some draft LinkedIn posts that I could potentially write which relate to Bitcoin's wild price swings. So if I know a bit about Bitcoin and I feel it's relevant to my audience, I could edit these posts before I publish them on LinkedIn. And again, you can follow the exact same process for whatever social media network you're writing on or publishing content on. I like using Claude for story mining. This is where you tell Claude or AI about something that's happened to you, where you recount a personal experience, and then Claude is able to extract some ideas that you can use for your content. Now, obviously, the more information that you give Claude, the better this will work. So here's the exact prompt. Help me turn my experience of, and then you're going to put in a couple of sentences or a few bullet points about your personal story, followed by into a compelling narrative with a business lesson. So in this case, my personal story is all about how I built a niche website and then Google took away all of my traffic. I found the whole thing really stressful, then I had to change business model, and now I'm doing something else. I'm running a profitable paid newsletter for creators. So I put some information about this into the prompt. Now obviously if I spent more time articulating this story, I would get better results. Claude's come up with a headline, the SEO Mirage, how Google's algorithm taught me to build a more resilient business. And then it's written a couple of paragraphs elaborating on the story that I provided, followed by a business lesson, don't build your house on rented land. Now I'd probably expand this so it sounds like it's something that happened to me and not something that AI generated. And don't build on rented land is a cliched metaphor, so I'll probably rework this slightly. But it's certainly something that I could start on or work with. Next up is the content gaps approach. To use this technique, you need to round up 10 or 20 or 30 different topics that you've covered, perhaps on your newsletter or on your channel or on your social media content. I'm focusing my YouTube channel more on how creators can use AI. And I've come up with a list of 25 different topics, including using AI to enhance, not replace your creativity, AI for podcasting, and using AI for video script writing. So to use this technique, here's the exact prompt. What important topics in my niche am I missing? What questions might my audience still have? And then you're going to round up 10 or 20 or 30 different topics from your niche or from your published content. So you could put in your Twitter posts, you could put in your LinkedIn posts, the titles of your YouTube videos, your email subject lines, or whatever it is. So in this case, I've put in some ideas for videos I'd like to record for this channel. And if you'd like to see these videos, don't forget to subscribe. And I've asked Claude, what questions might my audience still have about these topics? And according to Claude, it may want to focus more on content strategy, quality and authenticity, more technical and practical topics, legal and compliance, probably not going to do that, sounds too boring, audience impact, and it's also given me some questions that my audience have. For example, how do I know when to use AI versus creating content manually? So in other words, there's a hotbed of ideas for videos I could record or for topics that I could cover in my newsletter. Next up, you can use Claude to write and ideate content hooks. Content hooks are basically the first line or the first few lines that you write or say in your piece of content. They're what you're going to use to hook people's attention. Now, before I give you the exact prompt, I'd actually recommend that you create a dedicated Claude project for your hooks. And then when you come across a good piece of content, copy the first line or copy the first paragraph, put it into a single document, and then once a week or once a month, add or upload an updated version of this document to your Claude project. And this way, Claude will start to tailor the hooks it's generating based on supplied training data. So here's the exact prompt. For the topic productivity tips, and obviously swap this out based on what you're writing or creating, generate 10 different hooks using various approaches. So curiosity could be asking a question. Controversial is, something that's trying to get people's attention. A personal story is something that I could recount. A statistic or future pacing where I describe what the ideal life could look like for somebody if they followed my advice. Now Claude has come up with a number of first lines that I could use for my social media posts, emails, articles, or even YouTube videos based on curiosity, controversy, personal stories, stats, or future pacing. Now clearly I'd need to fact check these stats because they could be hallucinations, and I'd need to rework these stories so they actually are true and authentic. But this is certainly something that I could use as a type of prompt to write my content. The final way you can use Claude for idea generation is to apply Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats. Now, if you're not familiar with Edward, he was basically an expert in the field of creativity. He wrote this fantastic book, 6 Thinking Hats, and in the book he proposes that you can wear one of 6 metaphorical hats to evaluate an idea or to come up with a better one. So you can put on your blue hat for a big picture thinking. You can put on your white hat when you want to consider the facts and information before you. Your red hat for feelings and emotions. Your black hat when you're thinking about something negative. Your yellow hat if you want to be positive. And your green hat for creative new ideas. And you can easily turn this into a prompt for Claude. So here is the exact prompt. I want you to critically analyze my pasted text using Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats. And of course, Edward is very well known, so Claude should know what this is. Propose a fix for my content wearing each one of the hats. And then I've asked Claude to summarize it in a sentence with specific examples. Now I'm going to paste in my text. So I'm going to paste in one of the emails that I sent to my list recently. The one that was all about using ChatGPT to summarize news stories, and see what Claude comes up with. So Claude's analysed the content that I provided, and it's used the Edward de Bono framework to come up with 6 different changes or 6 different ideas that I could investigate to either improve this content or to create something else. And I actually use this quite a lot when I suppose I'm stuck for things to write or stuck for things to say, because this framework does work quite well. So I'd encourage you to try it with your own piece of content. So those are a number of different ways that you can use Claude for idea generation. Which one did you find useful? Let me know in the comment section below the video. And of course, if you want to get more AI templates, tips, frameworks, and tools, head over to briancollins.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.